Hello and welcome back to the channel, How We Move the Decimal. In today's video, I am doing a continuation of photographing books from the estate sale 3 years ago now. We have maybe photographed a third of them, listed a third of them. Right now I am pulling boxes of, I have 2 boxes here of romance novels, paperbacks, Harlequin and the other one, and I don't remember what the other one is, but I'm splitting them up. I'm splitting them up by brand. So Harlequin and Love Something, I think is the other one. Silhouette. Harlequin and Silhouette. And Harlequin I did not break up any farther. I just had a lot of Harlequin books. The Silhouette I did break up 2 different ones. I broke them up into the suspense and the normal. It's just a mix. I do not list them as a specific, like story or group or whatever. Like, so they had Harlequin, Western, and Silhouette, something else. But I did pull out the suspense because I had enough suspense to make their own lot. And I had to pull out 2 books that were damaged beyond repair. One of them was getting mold in it. So at one point had been water damaged. That is the one that I had to pull out. It actually had mold inside of it. So the 2 oldest ones I did have to pull out because they did have issues with them. But it's still, I had a very large lot still. Again, though, they were all different. Like, that one was Fortune's Children. There was like historical something, cowboy romances, all of that. I did not separate those out, but I did separate the suspense ones, and I did separate them by Harlequin versus Silhouette. I want to say there were roughly 20 books in each lot, and I sell them for around $15, so $14.99. With this, again, I'm just kind of going off of book prices in my area. So at thrift stores and stuff, these books would sell for roughly 50 cents a piece, maybe $1 a piece, depending on which thrift store I go to. And that's what I kind of try to base those off of when I sell them in lots. I would never buy these individually. I would never sell these individually. I would only get them if I could get a very large lot for very cheap. Like I said, this was in our book lot that we got from the estate sale, and I paid less than 17 cents per book here. So I'm okay with selling them cheaper. But again, I do not recommend buying these. I do not recommend getting these as one-offs, definitely. Maybe if you had enough, keeping them to make it a lot, but that would be a lot of time, energy, and effort for not a lot of recourse, payback, whatever you want to call it. So I am listing these books. No, I do not recommend these books. I do not recommend getting romance books. With these were kind of harder because they were older, so they do show signs of wear. Paperbacks are difficult anyway for reselling. You need to 100% make sure there's no mold in them. There's no water damage on them. That is what I had to go in and do. Again, I had to pull 2 books out of this major lot. 2 out of 40 isn't terrible. But yeah, so yes, this is part of the book lot. Yes, this is part of the estate lot. Yes, I paid around 17 cents per book. I would not recommend buying these books. I would not recommend, buy them. That is another book right there that I ended up having to just get rid of. I couldn't even donate it because it had water damage and mold in it. And it was from like the 1950s. So I would, again, if you want to buy them to read them yourselves, go for it. But I would not buy these to resell. The resale value just isn't there. But because we had large lots, because the person that we bought the estate sale from obviously loved their cookbooks and their romance books, I'm able to, I want to say this is my third and fourth lot of romance books, just romance books, that I'm able to make off of this estate sale buy. I don't know if I don't think I have any more romance books, because when I went through and looked at all of them, I pulled them out and lotted them together. The Love Inspired is the other brand. I was calling it Inspired. Love Inspired is the other. So I have Harlequin and Love Inspired. I will say Love Inspired sells more frequently than Harlequin does. Harlequin's a bit of a longer sell. Harlequin is a little bit more risque compared to Love Inspired. Love Inspired is slightly more tame. Some of the books I looked at were more Christian influenced, was like the keywords that they were used for those. So those do sell more easily for me than the Harlequin do. But again, I would not pick these up to resell. I would not pick up single ones to resell. You know, if you got a bunch of books in a lot like we did. I did not donate them though, because I had such a large lot that it would be worth it to resell versus donating. However, as we go through each box, I want to say right now, all I have left is 5 tubs of books, which I know sounds absolutely insane because that's 5 tubs, but we started with 16. So I have 5 tubs left. I am being incredibly picky with these books that are left, and I am donating them to our local Friends of the Library that have book sales regularly, and they take donations pretty frequently. So that is an easy way for me to offload books. I don't throw them away again unless they have mold in them, and then I do throw them away. Some of the books have been damaged beyond repair. If I can, I pull out pages and artwork and stuff from that to be used in crafting lots, which again, do not buy books to make crafting lots, but if you have enough, you can make a crafting lot, and the crafting lots are better than not getting any money, if that makes any sense. I will do like a mixed crafting lot with vintage, you know, book pages and maybe vintage map pages, vintage, you know, cookbook pages in there. So I may do a mixed craft lot of the different types of papers, but I don't go and seek out books to make these craft lots. And I only turn the books that are beyond repair, cannot be donated. Nobody wants these books. They're missing several pages already, or their covers are completely gone, or whatever. So I will go through those and do it, but I won't seek out damaged books. I just happen to have a lot of damaged books in this lot that I didn't know of. Also, you know, I've said this in many videos, look through the pages of the books. People like to hide things in the pages of the books. So far, in flipping through these books, we found a Dragon Ball PlayStation game, and we found $2, 2 separate dollar bills in separate books. So we have found things in the books. I found other recipes and stuff, which isn't a big deal, but the things we found of value were $2 and a Dragon Ball Z PlayStation game. That is something, definitely flip through the books. It doesn't take a lot to go through and flip through them, shake them upside down if you need to. Do not break the binding on them, but go ahead and do that. And as you can tell here, I am very professionally listing on my bed. I am sitting crisscross applesauce listing on my bed. This is unique to this time of year. I normally list on my dining room table, but because it is holiday season, my dining room table is currently being used. So the bed it is. And I can only list at certain times of day in our bedroom because our bedroom is incredibly dark most of the time. But if we can get the light coming in the window, then we will list then. My husband's also next to me listing. You can't really see him, but you can see me. I'm trying to separate these books out. I've separated them into Love Inspired, and I've separated them into Harlequin, and now I'm trying to see if I have enough to make separate lots, or if I'm just going to put them all together. So I have like cowboy romance. I've already separated the suspense out. I have classical, I have romance history, I have ones that have multiple books in them, like 3 books in them. Spoiler, don't end up separating any of them. I did just separate the suspense out. So I ended up listing them all together. I try to get as good as pictures as possible. But again, these are romance paperbacks. These are not high margin first edition books. They are quick sells. They're quick sells when they're, brand new. So I know I'm not going to get a lot of money for them, but I had a lot. I had a lot and I have a lot. So I would definitely recommend that. Don't get rid of them if you have a large lot, but if you just have one-offs. And honestly, I may just start donating any future romance novel books I see, because I don't think I will have enough to make a large lot after selling these 2 large lots. To put into perspective, I was able to fill 2 12 by 12 by 12 boxes with these books. And I go ahead and put them in the boxes and I label them by that lot, so I'm not going through and having to find which exact one it is. And it's easier for me to then go ship them, because I can just pull that box out that's already taped up and ready to go, slap a label on it. Also, definitely with books, they are going media mail because they are actual books. They'll go media mail. Media mail is a lot cheaper, but definitely weigh books. Books are deceptively heavy, especially when you have them in lots. I want to say this lot was almost 5 pounds. We always try to weigh everything because we do calculated shipping. So this was almost 5 pounds. Media mail wise, it'd probably be around $8. So not terribly, but it's going to take a long time for them to get to anybody. I'd probably say the best sellers of the romance books for us so far have been love-inspired large print. And large print is sought after, so if I did have large print, I would probably pull them out so I could list them separately, and I would probably hold on to them till I had at least 5, if not more, large print books. But that would be another thing that I would look for. I would look for large print because they tended to sell quite quickly. I want to say of the first lot of romance books, the large print sold within days of being listed, where the other ones took much longer. They are gone. These are still there, but they haven't been up that long. As I'm recording this, Christmas is not happened yet. It's still before Christmas, and we tend not to get a lot of sales before Christmas. Our sales pick up between Christmas and New Year's and then kind of taper off again. We wax and wane when it comes to sales, but we really don't have any huge, this is an amazing quarter for us. It's more, hey, we listed a bunch, so we're actually selling things. And if we list things, we will sell things. The day we were listing these, we listed around 50 items, and we had a pretty decent boost in our sales, to the point that we had 2 almost $100 sales after that, which was super nice. There were also international sales, so I don't know what that says about timing of stuff, but we had international sales. We had 2 pretty decent big sales, and we sold a lot of our older lot. We didn't really sell anything we listed. I want to say we only sold 1 or 2 things we listed, but we sold a lot of backstock, which is great because those of us that are resellers, it's almost the first of the year and it's almost time to do inventory. We like to do inventory the first of the year and the first of the fiscal year. So we're going into the new year or the new fiscal year knowing what's going on and where we're at and how many listings have dropped off eBay. I did sell a couple vintage bed sheets, and I'm wondering if that's for people visiting and houses and stuff and wanting maybe sheets that match something. But I did sell some vintage bed sheets, and I will say I went through and I was digging out these bed sheets and I was touching things that I am fairly certain are not listed. I went back and I searched my listings and I could not find them. I want to do a more thorough search of that before I go and list them again, because God forbid I have 2 of the same listing up. That would be awful. So I need to do that. I am right now between contracts. My next contract does not start until the 12th of January. So when that contract starts, I will become busy again. But in this coming contract, it's a little staggered. I have 1 start, then I have 2 weeks and I have another one start, and then I have 2 weeks and then I have another one start. So they're not all starting at the same time, which is helpful to me. But I know once my contract starts, I'm not going to be able to focus that much on eBay. I'm not really able to focus that much on eBay right now because of the holidays and having children. But this I know I have more time right now than I will in the future. And at some point, I'm going to have to come to Jesus moment with these books because I have already made back what I spent. I spent $80 and I've made almost $500 off of these books. So at what point do I just say, that's it, let's donate the rest of them because I'm going crazy? And then the part of me goes, but what if there's that one book that's worth a lot of money? But if I'm going through and looking up all these books, I might as well just stop and list them because it doesn't take that long to list the books. And then if I'm listing the books, I might as well list all the books, and then I just kind of spiral, which is not helpful. I'm going to, again, probably have to have a come to Jesus moment and figure that out and see what I'm doing. Sorry, I had a pause. I had to check to make sure it was recording because my computer stuttered on me. And if you watched my last video, I had to do 2 recordings of that because the first one didn't record and that gave me a lot of anxiety. And I don't want to have that anxiety because I don't have a lot of time to do these. So I have to go pick up my girls from school. And once the kids are home, anything that requires audio of anything stops. I can edit, I can upload, I can export. I cannot do any audio because I have a small one that likes to get on VR and basically scream at the top of her lungs. So that ends any audio aspects. I am trying to take a picture of this. Unfortunately with books, a lot of times my hands end up in the picture because I'm having to hold them up to show the spines. Definitely with books, again, these are romance books. They're in a large lot. Romance books don't fare that well after use. But if I was selling a very expensive book, always make sure to get a picture of the spine, all of the outer edges, the front and back, pages. I like to do, with the cookbooks, the table of contents, if they say, what recipes are in there, because sometimes people are interested in what recipes are in there. So that is why I would do that. Also, my book sorting system has kind of sucked. These are all packed in their own boxes, but we have sold, I want to say 4 or 5 books since December 1st out of the book lot, and we couldn't find them because it just said shelf 1. And originally I put shelf 1 to identify whatever books were from the estate sale versus books that we just picked up randomly at thrift stores or whatever. But shelf 1 turned into 10 boxes. And having to go through 10 boxes to find books because I put them all as shelf 1 has become quite infuriating. So I'm going to have to find a better way to do that. Or again, just delist everything and donate it to the Friends of the Library because I am over it all and they take up so much space. We are thinking about where our store is going to go for the coming year. So as we start the new January, what do we want our eBay store to look like? Do we want to sell more hard goods, more soft goods? I will say right now, it looks like we're really leaning away from clothing. Clothing is not having the quantifiability that other things are having. We are able to get our hands on hard goods faster. We're having a much higher return with hard goods. So we may lean into the hard goods and not clothing as much. And if we do clothing, it'll probably be vintage clothing, very niche clothing. It probably won't be like, here's your Wrangler jeans unless they are vintage Wrangler jeans. So that is what we're looking at doing, going forward, leaning in. We are not going to delist anything we already have listed. We will keep that listed. We will just, when going forward and looking for clothes, looking at what we're going to list. And I do have several bins of clothes to list down in our basement. And I don't know if I want to just donate them all, go and make sure nobody's new with tags, make sure no one's vintage name brand of any sort or a high return, and then just get rid of anything that's $15 or less because it's not worth it to us to keep. It's not worth it for me to waste time listing it. It's not worth it to have to store that. So that is, again, something my husband and I have to sit down and talk about because it is both of our eBay stores and figure out where we're going to go from there if we're going to steer away from clothes and go directly towards hard goods. I will say our local auction house has online auctions at least once a month, and we have participated in those, and we walked away with some fairly good deals, and we're able to flip those items quite quickly. You don't really have to take a lot of measurements when doing a hard good versus when doing clothes, and we tend not to have as many returns with hard goods that we do with clothes because people can be difficult with clothes if they don't fit perfectly, which I don't blame them. I'm just saying it's just we are not getting that when it comes to hard goods, but we are getting that when it comes to clothes. And apparently I'm also notoriously horrible at telling the difference between navy blue and black, which is unfortunate. It takes a lot longer time to photograph clothes. I'm having to use yardsticks. I'm using roll-out tape measures. I'm having to launder and fold. Granted, hard goods, I'm still washing most of them. If they can be washed, I'm washing them. If they can't be washed, I'm not washing them. But we may be steering away from clothes, which is very interesting because that's how we started. It just takes so long to list clothes where I can, list these books on my bed. But with clothes, I need a larger area so I can get pictures of everything, so I can get measurements of everything. And with books and other hard goods, I'm like, this is this. I will say I listed some vintage Pyrex that came in an estate sale auction from earlier this year. I listed the vintage Pyrex, and I was able to photograph them from all sides. I was able to get it done on my bed again. I made like a photo booth, but on my bed. And I did use a measuring tape with that because I want to know what size they were, exactly what design they are, but there's a plethora of Pyrex information out there, so it wasn't terrible to figure out what they were. It was like something daisies. I was very tempted to keep them because they matched our plates. I love vintage, like Corelle type stuff. I know it probably has lead in it and it's probably going to kill me at some point, but I've been eating on it since a child, so maybe I've built immunity. But I do love the Corelles, the vintage plates. We have the green flowers, green floral and like goldenrod floral. So these bowls match the green floral, and it was incredibly difficult for me to get rid of them because they are a matching set. But I don't cook in casserole dishes. So if I kept them, it'd be purely for aesthetics, and I don't have the room to keep things purely for aesthetics in my kitchen. If I'm going to keep them in my kitchen, they need to have form and function. So that was an easy lift for me to sell those. It was super cool to find them. I found them at the very bottom of a dollar box that I got from this auction. And in fact, I'm just incredibly happy that they weren't broken, and all three of them still had their glass lids. So that was a nice asking price. I was okay with listing that when it came to hard goods. I'd be the same thing when it comes to clothes. But yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a chance to make any more videos before Christmas because my kids will be home the whole time, and again, the loudness of the VR kid. But thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and have a productive day.